Good afternoon. My name is Joe Bandel, and I am the last Rosicrucian. Uh, today is today is the 16th of December, 2024. Um, Now I tried. This is going to be like my weekly update of what a roundup of things that I think are of consequence or of interest for people. And it's interesting to, or significant to say that this is the fourth time that I have tried to record a video. The other three times it simply felt wrong. It simply was like what I was going to say or wanted to say. Somehow it was not the right thing. And I'm still struggling with that a little bit, but I think I know what I want to the main point that I want to get across. But some of the question that comes up is why wasn't it right to share certain things? And the bottom line is in Gaia's ascension, things have been going on for a long time. They've been going on since before 2010 even. Back when there was talking about the short version of the Mayan calendar, if people can remember back that far, even uh, 2012 for sure, which was the Mayan calendar, and everybody thought that was the end of gonna be like the end of things and the beginning of new things. And from a from my perspective and what I have been able to sense on the astral planes over the years, that there's a lot of truth in that because what happens is the astral projects a future out, and we keep constantly reaching for that future because that future keeps on growing, if you will. The thing is, Gaia's ascension is totally moving her out of third density completely. So that future, that future that was in the astral could not really, it's like the third density version of the future. It couldn't go any further. So it was the end of the road. And what really happened uh, back, back in 2012, I'm going to say, uh, they ran out of time. And from that, and what the world was going to end with World War III. And we avoided World War III. But what I'm saying is there was an end of the road to third density future. And we had to create, ever since that point, we have been creating a third density future for ourselves and for Gaia. And Gaia's kind of been stringing us along, but actually Gaia is firmly in the fourth density right now. Uh, she she's got no intention to going back to the what people are calling third density. So what's happening now is again there's no future there. So what's in the astral, that astral future, these timelines, as a timeline, by definition, is supposed to go into the future. And a lot of them are being snuffed out because there's no longer a possibility of that future happening. And the only timelines that are continuing are the timelines from fourth density, fifth density, and higher are continuing. And there's what we have been seeing in the past year, and what's continuing to happen now is the big split between a fourth density Gaia and a fifth density Gaia. Fourth density Gaia is that Gaia where all of life upon her is rising, is ascending. Fifth density, they're going to have a kind of a, they're moving into fifth density, and they're going to be creating the Gaia that they create, but in all likelihood, it's going to be without the lower level animals and plants, vegetation, things like that. Because those really struggle. They don't really have an existence at the higher levels, I guess is what I'm saying. So anyway, we are rapidly running out of let me rephrase that and say a lot of the lower density timelines that are negative are rapidly running out of existence. They're being squeezed out one after another. I want to say something from my heart. What I'm trying to say is, if you pay attention to Gaia's ascension and what's happened so far, the best possible things have happened. And for a long time, the gridlock that we have experienced has been a good thing, because it has prevented the extremists on the left and the extremists on the right from getting their way. The thing that's happened, just recently in the last few months, has been, well, actually since the equinox, the fall equinox, and especially around the Halloween Samhain time frame, the gridlock has broken. And all of a sudden, things are flowing. And it might not look like they're flowing in the physical yet, but they're flowing in the astral. How can I'll just make the obvious example of, so much was hanging on that presidential election in the United States. It's going to go this way or it's going to go that way. We have crossed that point in time. We know which way things are going now. There's going to be a time Trump's going to take office, and his team is going to take office. And what's going to happen in the United States and with ripples around the world is that timeline. Any other timeline has lost its chance at this point. It's in the past, if you will. So that's kind of the big thing that's happened. And we can say it another way is, each one of us, our individual timelines have crystallized around us. What's crystallized around us is our life situation. our financial situation, our relationship situation, our job situation, whatever. And I'm not saying that our jobs is crystallized or our relationships is crystallized so that they're stable. What I'm trying to say is what happens to your job, what happens in your relationship, what happens with your finances. Those have become crystallized. Maybe you'll lose your job. Maybe you'll break up with your relationship. Maybe you will uh, lose your money. That's the things that have crystallized. From this point on, what's left? What's left is to either have a temper tantrum while these things happen or smile, grin, and bear it. In other words, the events that are coming into our lives, the future events that will be affecting us for the foreseeable future here are set in stone, basically. There's very little wiggle room because the closer things get to physical manifestation, the less wiggle room there is. So we're getting down to where a lot of these things are decided. And when I was trying to decide what should I write, what should I make this video about, what I was really trying to decide was what should I share? Because some of this stuff won't do any good. It's too late. It's too late to talk about certain things because we can't do anything about them anymore. And if we have been doing the work, good for us because the timeline that is crystallized for us will see us through in a good way. If we've not been doing the work, the timeline that is crystallized for us is going to be kind of bumpy. And are we how are we going to deal with it? How are we going to cope with it? Are we going to be able to learn from our mistakes? That's about the only thing that can can take place at this point as far as I'm concerned. Can we learn from our mistakes when they blow up in our faces? Can we the good things that happen, can we continue that process and help other people to learn about it? I'm gonna, for example, I'm gonna change the subject a little bit. I'm gonna talk about these uh, AUPs or UFOs, whatever it's. Anomalous. I don't. They got a new word for UFOs, but all those drones that are flying on the East Coast. What is that all about? That's a very important question. Um, but what's even more important is why is something like that happening right now? And it's happening, it's spreading, it's happening around the world. And there's every indication that it is going to be getting larger, not dying away. Why? That's that's a question to bring up because I can't do anything about drones in New Jersey and New York or whatever. Maybe there's going to be some around here in Minnesota where I'm at, but I can't really do anything about them. But why? Why is it happening? And the only conclusion that I can come to, it is happening to make us afraid. And you see some of that happening already. I saw a video that there was a person that was shooting at one of those drones as it was flying away. He didn't hit it, but the bullet was going someplace or whatever. But so people get mad, and they get afraid, and this is just something that's calculated to grow. Now, I'm not even for the purposes of this video, I'm not even going to get into uh, I'm not going to get into a debate about, well, what do I think is going on there, other than I'm going to just kind of make a couple statements. I'm going to say it's pretty obvious that the bulk of the drones that are showing up on the East Coast, as I understand it, are physical based. In other words, I saw videos of where you could hear the buzz, or you could hear an engine that was running. In other words, they came with sound effects. So they are 3D. That's and maybe they can come into 3D and go out. I don't know. I'm not going to say that, but what I'm going to say is they are that. And there, as far as I'm concerned, there's only uh, two possibilities for drones or UFOs that can come into physical reality or 3D reality like that. If we make them, or if reptilians make them. Reptilians are the only ones that really share 3D with us. This is my belief. I believe there are star children, star seeds, this kind of stuff. There are alien species or extraterrestrial life, but none of the others, none of the members of the Galactic Federation, they cannot manifest solidly in 3D. They can manifest in 4D because that's the lowest that they can get, and they can show up as visible, and they can maybe even show up as tangible. But it's a tangible. It's like it's tangible, but not quite, or it can blink out at any point in time. So the only reason that I'm even sharing that is because you look at why is it happening, what's happening on a lot of the channeled messages from different things, like people that are channeling the Galactic Federations, that kind of thing, or whatever. They have shared in several places, several times, that the reptilians and the governments of the world are in cahoots. They're working together to try to retain control over 3D Earth. And they can't get it through their head. There is not going to be a 3D Earth. It is disappearing fast. The only 3D Earth that's left is what they're creating in their own brains right now. And it is rapidly crumbling away. 4Ds continuing, 5Ds continuing, but the Earth split. But so anyway, that's my take on some of that, what's going on. And but the point I was getting at is why are they doing that? To make us afraid. So I believe, if I'm interpreting or reading the signs right, what we're going to see is you're going to see a panic, a growing panic about these UFOs, drones, whatever you want to call them, the different ones, because you're going to be seeing physical based ones, you're going to be seeing ones even from the Galactic Federation side too. Because it's kind of like this is the time, this is when they're playing the card, and this is when all of a sudden the world gets to wake up and realize that humans are not the only intelligent species in this universe. And a tipping point has been reached where most of us think that's a good thing because we believe in the goodness of life and we believe in the goodness of, you could say, those that serve the light, that are of the light, that kind of thing. And but the the governments, uh, the reptilians, they're trying to turn this into to a control thing. So, two things. I'm going to just be saying two things. You're going to see more. You're going to see this becoming the issue that's in the news, and it will lead to lockdowns to where they're going, and it can't be. I don't think there's no way it's going to be a globe. Being in the country in Minnesota, let me say if there's lockdowns, it's going to be like in New Jersey and New York. It's going to be where these flying things are sighted. And the lockdowns are going to really freak people out even more. But I don't see it happening to be lockdowns like it was with the COVID situation, really, um, where it supposedly affected everybody in every state and every county and every little home. Maybe it will, whatever. But in other words, they're going to try to work that, and that's not going to happen. Another thing that I was going to bring up is beside you take the narrative, the message that's coming in, and you take all the ads that everybody is exposed to, and the lies, and how we literally live in a world where we can't tell if something's a lie. We can't tell if somebody's lying to us or not lying to us. But yes, but we can. Our heart can tell the difference. We can intuit what's right and we can intuit what's true. And what's happening is we collectively are being forced to become psychic. We are being forced to become intuitive because that is the only source of information that holds true, that stays true. That's why people say use your discernment. If this resonates with you, go with it. Because those people who say that are in the process of becoming psychic. They're in the process of being able to discern intuitively what's good for them and what's not good for them. And what's happening is as we collectively become more psychic, more intuitive, we no longer believe the lies. It doesn't work anymore. And so the people, whoever they are, on this side or on that side, as they tell more lies and they don't work, they get more desperate and the lies get more outrageous. And what's happening is a depolarization because the lies are intended to polarize. But as Trump, I'm giving an example, as Trump takes office as the president, he's basically a middle of the road guy. And he's got people that are really business people that are trained to deal with the economic realities of things. The the bad things are not going to be happening. So people are they're going to chill a little. They're going to depolarize and they're going to say, maybe I was overreacting. Maybe I was overreacting on both sides. So they're going to take a chill pill and they're going to be kind of, okay, let's cooperate with some of these things. I'll give another example with that Doge thing that Elon Musk is dealing with. I just saw some videos on YouTube that were talking about how some Democrats are saying, some of these things are good ideas because they're a real waste of money, government money, and we need to be more efficient and more effective on that. So there's people that are depolarizing and they're actually listening and they're having discussions. And when that happens, you have good things happen. So ultimately there's good things happen, but as the good things happen and the deep state, the the elite, whatever, as they lose their power, they're going to get more and more desperate. I'm going to just give an example, and I'm going to say why I think that these drone situations came up. The idea was that the Ukraine war was started so that we could, uh, Russia could get whipped and it could get balkanized, which means cut up into small parts and distributed, and then its resources taken because the United States is good at that. But it's become obvious the Ukraine is losing that war, and it might not last for a year. I don't personally. I don't think it's going to last for a year. Maybe 6 months. I could be wrong, but I'm saying it's basically a lost cause for the Europeans who are trying to support it, and it's a crime that they're just letting people die. Uh, and the United States is pushing for Ukraine to start drafting 18-year-old boys so that they can go into the war and die, and that's just not right either. That's not right. I we have no business being in a war. We have no so that's kind of where I come from. We have no business being in that conflict no business being over there at all. All it is rotten, rotten, rotten. But anyway, that's being lost. So what did they try? What did the powers that be try to do? In my opinion, they got this Syria thing going. Why did they get that Syria conflict going? They wanted to draw Russia into it so that Russia would be weaker in Ukraine. Russia didn't buy it. Russia's got no intention of uh, putting any more resources into Syria than it already has. That's becoming quite obvious. And what you're finding out is you have NATO countries, you have Turkey, you have the United States, you have Israel that are all fighting over Syria. They're fighting each other, and that's going to continue. So the further weakening the NATO countries. So it didn't work out, and the smarter people at the top of the food chain and the in the deep state or whatever, they understood that, and this idea of an alien invasion was always kind of a last ditch. It's like if everything else fails, we can pull that. Maybe we can pull this off. And so they're trying to pull this off. They're trying to pull this off and trying to convince people that this is an alien invasion that is an attack on Earth. And I'm just saying, okay, this is what I expect that you're going to be hearing about or seeing about, and it's not going to wash. There's too many people that know that it's a fake, that it's not real, that it is our own government. And the reptilians that are trying to manipulate and control us, trying to put us in lockdown. That's just my thought. This is a weekly, I'm trying to put out something every week, and this is what I've put out for this week. Whether you agree with it or not, hopefully, maybe you can follow a little bit of it. Put a comment down. I enjoy every time I get comments. I don't get too many comments. Anyway, till next week, thank you.